I remember seeing Raiders of the Lost Ark as a kid, and I was 8 years old, and the balance between action, real scares, and laughter was so perfectly in check. And obviously, you know, pretty much any filmmaker will tell you the same story. That was one of the movies that influenced them the most. So the opportunity to do a mummy film that took place globally, from the deserts of Iraq to ancient Egypt to modern day London, you know, you're always kind of reaching for that brass ring and hoping to find that right tone between humor and horror.
I think the age of adventure is back. I think we're in an age where escapism is so at the forefront of a young generation's mind. You know, we live through a medium that's visual, and I think to create a world like this where you can completely lose yourself, and we are the start of many stories like this, I think it's an exciting time, and I do think the age of adventure is back.
I was super nervous to take on that role, because I still do have an enormous amount of respect and admiration for these movies. They were the first monster movies, the first sort of horror movies. People used to go to the theater, see these films, and be terrified, like utterly scared, like utter fear, I think.
¿Qué es eso?
I remember seeing La Femme Nikita when it first came out. I was 17, and I remember thinking, I don't understand why the world isn't making more of these movies. And I've waited now 20-something years for the world to catch up to that feeling.
I think things are starting to change, definitely. I can see more and more strong female characters out there. I think that the Mummy, Amenet, is a strong character, and I'm very proud to play that role, to be giving that chance. And same thing with Atomic Blonde. My character is slightly more, which I like because of what I've been playing so far. I think the roles, even in Star Trek and Kingsman, the roles I've been playing are strong female characters. But in Atomic Blonde, Delphine, who I play, is a slightly more, she's more on the naive side, which is nice and soft and good for what I've been doing so far. But you know, Charlize's character is really strong, and I think it's empowering for women to see her on screen. She's really phenomenal in the movie.
I think it's wonderful that a studio like Universal, an actor like Tom Cruise, a director like Alex Kurtzman, is feeling that movement and feeling like, oh, yes, you know, they all see women the same way, you know, as we do, and it was really just an organic thing, you know. I think audiences just want the truth, and women are as badass as men, and that's just how it is.
La he visto. Es real.
I don't know which one is harder. It's different, you know. I think when I was on tour, I think my years as being a dancer were the hardest years of my life, I think, and I always said nothing's going to be able to top that until I met Tom Cruise, because he works super hard, which I love. I think the discipline that a dancer carries and that the dancers are required to have is insane. It's pretty insane, and I love that, and I don't think that I'd like to work any other way.
Tom is everything you want him to be, you know. He's Tom Cruise, and he's the only person in the world you can actually say that and understand what that means, you know. I think we all grew up with him. We've all celebrated him in so many different ways. We've emoted with him. We've gone through so much of our cinematic history is Tom Cruise, and so yes, he's very inspiring, and he's so generous, and he's great with a crew. He's great with just, it's infectious when you're around it. So he's just wonderful.
I've worked with Tom now for 10 years, and we started on Mission Impossible 3 together. And Tom makes this amazing handshake agreement with you when you make a movie together. And he says, I'm going to put myself in your hands, and I'm going to give you everything I know about filmmaking, and I'm going to tell you what I think, and you ultimately get to make the choices and decide. You're the director of the movie.
Le presento a la princesa Amenet. Ella reclamará lo que se le ha negado.
I would love to play her again, yeah, and I would love to be back. I think what the studio and what Alex are doing is launching something that's incredible and that's going to go a long way. I have that feeling.
I have to say I'm very excited about the next movie. The next movie is going to be Bride of Frankenstein. And Javier Bardem is playing Frankenstein's monster, and I love The Bride of Frankenstein. If you look at the original film, it's a very weird movie. But it's interesting because the bride doesn't come on screen until the last 5 or 10 minutes of the film, and basically says nothing, and rejects Frankenstein, and he pulls a lever, and then they all die. It's the weirdest movie, but you remember it. You remember it, and you remember that look, and there's something so iconic about it that, you know, even for her limited amount of screen time, people are mesmerized and fascinated by that character.
I would love to see Dracula. I would love to see even the Hunchback of Notre Dame and how they would interpret that and who would play that. And, you know, it's already inspiring so many greats of cinema. Your Javier Bardem is up to play Frankenstein. I think that's going to be an incredible performance.